Hare Krishna. So today is Sunday, 13th of September. On behalf of ISKCON Scarborough, I would like to welcome each one of you to our 26th successive week of virtual Sunday Feast classes. Several distinguished speakers from all over the world have given us inspiring classes during these 5+ months. Today we are honored to welcome back His Grace Dravida Prabhu to speak us on the topic of the 6 limbs of surrender, and today is the concluding part. So many of us joined us last week as well, which was the first part of the 6 limbs of surrender seminar, and today is the concluding part, and it will be a multimedia presentation. And Prabhu has given several classes here at ISKCON Scarborough in the last 5 months. The first topic was taking shelter of Krishna in times of danger, and Prabhu gave 2 classes on Dasamula, the 10 roots of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, and fascinating class on Lord Kapiladev's Sadhu Sangashtaka, and also followed by Sri Krishna Katastaka. And last week was 6 limbs of surrender, and today is the concluding part of the 6 limbs of surrender. And all these videos are available through ISKCON Scarborough's webpage, or you can go to YouTube and type in ISKCON Scarborough and you'll get all the videos as well. So we will be recording today's class as well and posting it in YouTube and in our website. So a little bit about His Grace Dravid Prabhu. Prabhu is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu joined ISKCON in 1973 and served as an editor and proofreader for BBT, which is Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, for over 45 years. And Prabhu is also part of this Vyasa Puja book, Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja book every year. And most of you are very familiar because it's Scarborough. We keep announcing that the date is coming up for us to send, and these are all the email reminders that Prabhu sends to all the temples. And Prabhu teaches Bhakti Yoga classes at ISKCON San Diego Temple. And Prabhu's devotion and expertise in chanting form a marvelous combination. So we have heard that in all his classes as well when he's in Scarborough, and also through the Zoom classes. So Prabhu has been a brahmachari throughout his devotional career. So with that, I would like to invite His Grace Dravid Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of the 6 limbs of surrender, which is the concluding part. Last 10 to 15 minutes, we'll take questions from the chat forum, private or public. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ananda Garanga Prabhu. Vancha kalpadurubhischa kripa sindhubhaya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So nice to be with you again. I'm hoping to one day visit you in person when this COVID-19 nightmare is over. And before I begin, I'll offer my obeisance to Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. Om jnana timarandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmidatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So last week we covered the first 3 of the 6 limbs of surrender as described in the Vayu Purana and quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22:100. So today I'll just chant that root verse again, read the translation, and we'll move on to number 4. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati vishvaso goptritve vadanam tata atmanikshepa karpanye shadvidha shananagatihi. The 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender, and humility. So we're on number 4 now, Goptritve Vadanantata, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master. And as before, we'll refer to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song in dealing with this subject matter in his Sharanagati songbook. And we won't do the Bengali, but I'll just read the translation here. Within my mind, I have always been anxious for the maintenance of my wife and children, my own body and my relatives. How will I earn money? How will I acquire fame? How will I arrange the marriages of my sons and daughters? Now, through self-surrender, I have been relieved of all anxiety. O Lord, surely you will provide for the maintenance of your own household. Recognizing me as your own servant, you will certainly maintain me. While rendering devotional service unto you, I feel the greatest happiness. All events take place only by your will, O Lord. The deluded soul of this world declares, I am the doer, but this is pure folly. What is a tiny soul actually able to do unless you act? The jiva can only desire to act, but unless you fulfill his desire by your own sweet will, he cannot do anything. Being free from all anxiety, I will humbly render service unto you. If any good or evil should occur while serving in your home, it will not be my responsibility. Bhaktivinoda thus completely renounces his own independence and engages in the exclusive service of your lotus feet with no other interest in life. So moving on, a big part of false ego is the sense that I am the master and controller of my sphere of influence. I will work hard, earn money, and maintain myself and my dependence. A surrendered devotee of Krishna understands that Krishna, is the supreme controller and owner of everything. Ishabhasamidam sarvam. As Srila Prabhupada says in his explanation of Goptritve at CC Madhya 22-100, the devotee should accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. He should not think that he is being protected by a demigod. He should depend only on Krishna, considering him the only protector. The devotee must be firmly convinced that within the three worlds, he has no protector or maintainer other than Krishna. Madhavendra Puri was so surrendered that he wouldn't even beg any food. Madhavendra Puri avoided begging. Quote, Madhavendra avoided begging. He was completely unattached and indifferent to material things. If without his begging someone offered him some food, he would eat. Otherwise, he would fast. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 4:123. So just some comments on this particular element of surrender. What Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying in his song there is not that he's going to stop working in order to maintain his family, but that he's going to be in the mood of Arjuna. Remember, Krishna says, Tasmat, you should always think of me, Arjuna, with your body, mind, and intelligence dedicated to me, and fight. Tasmat sarva shakalishu mama nusmara yudhyacha. At all times, remember me and fight. In other words, do your duty, but with your with your mind and body directed to me, sure you will come to me. So this is the mood of the surrendered devotee. It's not that he immediately takes sannyas or rejects his responsibilities, but in meeting those responsibilities, he's fully with the understanding that Krishna is the provider, he's the maintainer, and if he wants, my efforts will be successful. I'll do the best I can, but I'm not going to be in anxiety of it because I know that I'm ultimately not the doer. Krishna is the fulfiller. It's that consciousness that changes, and also recognizing, as we'll read, that that everything that we do should be saturated with Krishna consciousness. As we go on, we'll see that that's one of the elements here. So it's a change of consciousness. It's not necessarily a change of status in society. When Lord Chaitanya was discussing with Ramananda Roy, remember Lord Chaitanya took the role of the disciple and Ramananda Roy took the role of the guru. And so Lord Chaitanya, he asked him, Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda Roy, please tell me what is sadhya and sadhana, what is the goal of life and how to achieve it. So Ramananda Roy started with Varnashram, and he kept going through different principles, Jet Karoshi, Rashnasi, even Sarva Dharma Padichaja. And all of these levels, Lord Chaitanya said, that's external, you can go further. Please go further. And finally, he came to this verse, a key verse for understanding Lord Chaitanya's mood and mission, and that is that Gyane priyasa buddha pasyanamantaheva jivanti sanmukaditam bhavadiyavatam stani stita shuddhigatam tanovan manovir ye prayaso ajitachito upasitaistrilokyam. Is that first thing is to give up all the speculation about who is God and who am I and what's the relation. Gyane priyasa buddha pasya, this great effort of speculation. And simply surrender to hearing with great attention, ardent hearing, the pure words about Krishna coming from the lips of the pure devotees. Stane stita, you don't have to change your situation. Just add the process of serious hearing from the right source. And Shuddhikatam, the path of hearing, Tanovan Manobir. Now this is the key phrase, with your body and your mind and your Tanovan and your words, you serve these vibrations. With your body and your senses, you follow the instructions that are being given. With your words, you repeat them. And with your mind, you contemplate them and understand their deep meaning. And in this way, you'll develop love for Krishna, by which you can conquer the unconquerable Lord. So that means this is the attitude of Sharanagati, surrendering to the instructions coming from the spiritual master, as we're seeing every day. Guru Mukha Padmavaka Chichate. May the words emanating from the spiritual master and make them one with your mind, and don't desire anything else. Okay, let's move on. In the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, after explaining why worshiping the demigods is self-defeating, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna at 9:22, Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana prayupasate tesham nityabhayuktanam yogakshemam pahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. One of the meanings of yoga is one's necessities. Here Krishna promises to personally provide what my devotees lack. In other words, their necessities, both material and spiritual. As a small child implicitly trusts his parents to protect him and provide for him, the fully surrendered devotee trusts that Krishna will fully protect and provide. And the other element of the yoga is kshema. Kshema is your security. To live a peaceful and happy life in this world as far as possible, one needs one's necessities and one needs security. And Krishna says here, I will personally provide that for my surrendered devotees. This is Goptadve, Rakshishatiti Vishwas Goptadve. This is the protection and the maintenance that one has to have faith that Krishna will provide as elements of surrender. Verses concerning the deep faith that Krishna will provide all one's necessities. Now we find many of these in Yamunacharya Stottra Ratna. We'll be quoting several of those. Pita tvam mata tvam dayatatanayas tvam priyasurit tvameva tvam mitram gurudapikatis chasi jagatam tvadiyas tvadrityas tavapadijanas tvadgadidaham papanas chaivam sa tvaham apitavai swasmi hibaraha. For the entire creation, you are father, mother, beloved son, dear well-wisher, and friend. You are the universal guru, the ultimate refuge. And I also am yours, sustained by you, a member of your family. You alone are my shelter. I am your surrendered soul, and as such, I am your dependent. Wonderful verse for meditation. Another one from the Stotra Ratna. Tadaham tvatate natavan madvate tvam dayaniyavan nacha. Vidini mitam etadabhyayam, Bhagavan palyamas majihiha. O Lord, without you I have no guardian, and without me you have no fit recipient for your mercy. This is our unbreakable relationship. Therefore, please take complete charge of me, O Master, and never leave me. So that was number 4, the Goptadve, the maintenance. And now 5, Atma Nikshepa, full self-surrender. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings in his song anthology, Sharanagati. Now this is the famous Manasadeho Geho song. We won't sing it, we'll just give the first verse. Manasadeho Geho Jo Kichu Mor, Arpilu Tuwa Pade Nanda Kishore. Mind, body, and family, whatever may be mine, I have surrendered at your lotus feet, O youthful son of Nanda. In good fortune or bad, in life or death, all my difficulties have disappeared because I have chosen your lotus feet as my only shelter. Slay me or protect me as you wish, for you are the master of your eternal servant. If it is your will that I be born again, then may it be in the home of your devotee. Let me be born again even as a worm, as long as I may remain your devotee. I have no desire to be born as Brahma, averse to you. I yearn for the company of that devotee who is completely free of all desire for worldly enjoyment or liberation. Father, mother, lover, son, Lord, preceptor, husband, you are everything to me. Bhaktivinoda says, O Kana, please hear me. O Lord of Radha, you are my life and soul. So this is Prabhupada made this song famous among devotees. And let's see. So Prabhupada describes this principle of full surrender in his Srimad Bhagavatam, Atma Nivedana, the 9 principles of devotional service given by Prahlad Maharaj. The word Atma Nivedanam refers to the stage at which one who has no motive other than to serve the Lord, excuse me, surrenders everything to the Lord and performs his activities only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sorry, time out, I always forget the water.
Sorry, Krishna, devotees, so as this is the concluding part of this topic, we encourage all devotees to send in your questions through the chat forum. And it doesn't have to be the same devotees, it can be different devotees sending questions. So there's a great opportunity Prabhu will be able to explain. But again, let's stick to the topic that we have today. So if you have questions, please send it through the chat forum, either private or through public. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, let's start that again. The word Atma Nivedanam refers to the stage at which one who has no motive other than to serve the Lord surrenders everything to the Lord and performs his activities only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee is like a cow that is cared for by its master. When cared for by its master, a cow is not in anxiety over its maintenance. Such a cow is always devoted to its master, and it never acts independently, but only for the master's benefit. Now, one thing I wanted to mention here, Srila Prabhupada's life, of course, was so exemplary in every respect. And especially when he, took Vanaprastha and sannyas, he was manifesting this, sense of Sharanagati and being fully surrendered to Krishna, that he will maintain, and having no interests apart from Krishna. But he showed so beautifully when he came to America. He came with nothing. He had no friends really. It was a true act of Atma Nivedanam and full self-surrender, just placing oneself in the hands of Krishna. And we can see how Krishna protected him and maintained him throughout his time in America, especially, it's so graphic in those early days when he was wandering the streets of New York, and somehow or other he was cared for here and there, and finally he got to 26th Avenue, and things took off there. So Prabhupada gave the perfect example of this, these six qualities of surrender. Okay, and of course the famous exemplar of this Atma Nivedanam is Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj is the exemplar of Atma Nivedanam. He had conquered the whole universe to take Indra's position. But when Lord Vamanadev approached him in the guise of a little Brahmin and begged just 3 steps of land, he rejected his spiritual master Shukracharya's advice and gave the land in charity. Despite then losing everything, being cursed by his former guru, and being arrested and bound up, he never wavered in his devotion to the Lord. And of course, he thereby became one of the Mahajans who embody the principles of devotion and carry the Dharma forward. So there's some verses for surrendering everything. Again from Stotra Ratna. Na dharma nishto smina chatma vedi, na bhakti man charanara vinde, akinchano nanyagati sharanya, patpadamulam sharanam papadye. I am not a virtuous person fixed in the principles of religious conduct, nor am I a great transcendentalist awake to spiritual knowledge, nor have I the slightest trace of devotion to your lotus feet. O refuge of the devotees, though I am so unqualified, please let me take shelter under your lotus feet, for I am lost in this material world. I possess nothing of value, and I have no place to turn. So I think we discussed this later, but there's something called Dainya Bodhika. You'll read this in the Nectar of Devotion. There's a section called submission. This really means submission of an appeal. And one of the 3 kinds mentioned there is Dainya Bodhika, which is to confess, one's disqualification to the Lord, as we see so often in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs and Narottam Das. And then to pray to be forgiven and to be engaged in full service. Bhagavatam 10:47-66. This one always attracted me when I first read it many years ago. Manaso Vrityo Naksyu Krishna Padam Bhajashrayah Vacho Bidayinir Nam Nam Kayas Tat Prabhanatishu. Nanda and the other cowherds said, may our mental functions always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. May our words always chant his names, and may our bodies always bow down to him and serve him. And I think you may recognize, if you see the number, this is the Uddhava's famous visit to Vrindavan, in which he learned so much about the highest levels of devotion from seeing Krishna's parents and his friends and of course, the gopis. And here's one, Rupa Goswami's Stavamala. I put this into a little poem. Vidachaya mahidandam dinabando dayangva gatadihina bhavatta kachad unyamamasti nipatutu shatakoti nirmalangvan navambhas tatapikitapayorak stuyate chatakena. The chataka subsists on rain it catches in midair, and so it's always praying to the cloud to send its fare. Yet though the cloud may send a thunderbolt instead of rain, that bird continues praying fervently, despite the pain. Just like the chataka, I've fixed my mind upon one goal, and that is you, O Lord, most kind to every fallen soul. So whether it is punishment you give or mercy sweet, I'll always pray to you for service to your lotus feet. So this verse perfectly embodies this Atma-nivedana mood of do with me what you like, but I'm going to continue my service in any situation. And finally, this element of karpanye, or humility, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings in his song anthology Sharanagati. O Lord, I offer this humble prayer at your lotus feet. I gave up the shelter of your feet, which are as soft as newly grown leaves. And now my mind has become dried up like a desert, being scorched by the fire of absorption in horrible worldliness. I find no strength to rise again, and thus I spend my days bitterly lamenting. O Dinanath, master of the meek and humble, your lotus feet are my only hope. There has never been a soul as forlorn as I. Please be merciful and award me your devotees' association. For by tasting the pleasure of hearing discussions of your pastimes, I shall give up all evils. One hope animates my soul, to spend day and night singing your holy name while living in your divine abode. Your servant Bhaktivinoda begs a place in the supremely cooling shade of your lotus feet. As with the other 5 elements of surrender, the inner mood must be confirmed by external acts. In the case of karpanye, surrender in humility, part of the surrender is submitting to the Lord what is known as dainya bodhika. I've mentioned this before, a report concerning one's fallen state. Thus we have the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and abundant verses of Sri Yamunacharya from his Stotra Ratna and many others. But the most famous is the 2nd verse of Lord Chaitanya's Shikshashtaka. Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatra pita niyamitak smaranena kalaha etadrishita vakripa bhagavan mamapi durdaivami drashamiha janinanuragaha. Krishna, Govinda, and Keshava too. Your names have no end, and in each of them you have invested your potencies, leaving none out. Whenever we want, we can chant it without the slightest restriction of time or of place. O Lord, who can fathom your infinite grace? Yet I am so wretched, devoid of all shame, that I haven't developed a taste for your name. And then, of course, Lord Chaitanya provides the most essential instruction on humility for all time. Trinata pisunichena, tarot apisahishnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniyak sadahari. More humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, to think all praise belongs to others, none belongs to me. These qualities attract the Lord to bless one with the power to chant his name incessantly until the final hour. More verses for humility. Aparada sahasra bhajanam patitam bhima bhavana vodare agatim shadanagatam hare kripaya kevaram atmasatkuru. O Lord Hari, please mercifully accept this person who is the storehouse of thousands of offenses, who has fallen into the terrible ocean of repeated birth and death, and who has no place to go, and who now begs shelter from you. From the Mukundamala 36. Andasya me viveka mahadanasya charai prabho balabad indriya namadhyayai mohanda kupa guhadeva nipata tasya devesha dehi kripanasya kadhavalambam. O Lord, the powerful thieves of my senses have blinded me by stealing my most precious possession, by discrimination, and they have thrown me deep into the pitch-dark well of delusion. Please, O Lord of Lords, extend your hand and save this wretched soul. And again from the Kundamala, text 36. What was the other one? Whoops, they're not both 36, sorry. Get that wrong. Madjanmanak palamidam madhukaita bari mad pratani madanugra ishaheva. From Britya Paricharaka Britya Brityasya Britya Itimam Smaralokanata. O enemy of Madhu and Kaitaba, O Lord of the universe, the perfection of my life and the most cherished mercy you could show me would be for you to consider me the servant of 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 your servant. Okay, this is from the Chaitanyashtika from Stavamala. I think there's 2 verses here. Yeah, from there. And especially this last line always attracted me. Please shower your compassion on this wretched, stubborn fool. Aham kanaka ketiki kusama goda dishtakshito nadosha labadashita vibada dosha purne pite atak pravanayadaya kripanavatsalat tvam bhaje ashati sutamahi pabho kundamukunda mande kripam. O Lord, this is to Lord Chaitanya. O Lord, whose splendor calls to mind the golden daffodil, I am the lowest sinner in this world of sinners. Still, you overlook the faults of one whose faults are like an ocean and bless him with the strength to practice unalloyed devotion. With this in mind, O Lord, who are most kind to fallen souls, I ask you with a humble heart, devoid of mundane goals. O Lord Chaitanya, Shimukunda, Shachi's precious jewel, please shower your compassion on this wretched, stubborn fool. And the next one is also from there. Bhavanti bhavehe nara katata dushkarlor pattayas tramunadasitanapi patata charu karunyataham iti pramadadantara shadanamashritas tvamaham ashati sutamahi pabo kodamukunda mande kripam. Notice the word shadanamashritas. Even low-born sinful souls entrapped in Kali's age, suffering most dreadful pains that no one can assuage, are instantly delivered when you kindly seek them out and flood them with your splendid mercy, making bhakti sprout. And so with heart rejoicing at your mercy's endless store, I take full shelter of your lotus feet and then implore, O Lord Chaitanya, Sri Mukunda, Shachi's precious jewel, please shower your compassion on this wretched, stubborn fool. Finally, the ideal seed of humility from which the entire ISKCON tree has grown, Srila Prabhupada's Markanate Bhagavad Dharma poem. So I think I just took some selections from it here. How will I make the fallen Westerners understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me to the West to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or failure. as you like. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in your holy name. I have been designated as Bhaktivedanta, and now, if you like, you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. That's the end. So a few words before we take some questions. We'll go back to the root verse of this. Anukulyasya sankapa patikulyasya varjanam rakshasati vishya so goptudve vananam tata atmanikchepa karpani shadvidha shadanagati. So the process of surrendering is there in every stage of life, even for the non-devotees. People have to surrender to the material energy, whatever body you have taken. Of course, lower bodies, they don't know anything about that, but they still are under the control of the material energy. And so just being in this material world means we're surrendering. But we don't have the attitude of surrender. We're thinking we're the controllers. This is Maya's trick. This is our great illusion. And so by hearing the Shastra, especially from realized souls, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, which are ideal, he gives explanations of the verses in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, CC, Upanishad, Upadeshamrita. Our intelligence can be purified. So we can understand that we have a chance. We have a chance in this lifetime to break out of this bondage of illusion that we've been immersed in for countless years, countless births. And not that we won't continue to surrender, but we'll surrender to the proper authority and to the actual supreme person behind all of this material energy that we've been interacting with for so long. So that realization and that faith is the first thing. That's why it says Adhar Shraddha. First comes faith in the words that we get from the Shastra, which are admittedly a challenge. They're a challenge to all of our beliefs. They're a challenge to our whole conception of life that we've been given. But if we're fortunate, we'll have enough faith to come into the association of devotees to chant Hare Krishna. And that as soon as we begin chanting and associated with devotees, it's like the veil starts to come down from our eyes, and we begin to see the truth of these words. So then comes this anukulyasya sankalpa. We need to accept those things favorable. We're not going to accept all the things favorable at first, but at least if we accept, as Prabhupada so brilliantly boiled it down to, chanting Hare Krishna and taking prasadam. These two very, very potent practices that Lord Chaitanya gave purify the heart so that we get the spiritual strength and spiritual intelligence to accept further. And the next one is giving up those things that are impediments to devotion, of which we're attached to so many. So these two essential elements, accepting what's favorable, giving up and what's not favorable, condensed and distillated into, for serious devotees, chanting 16 rounds and following the four regular principles. The anukulyasya sankalpa is accepting the injunction to chant, and the pratikulyasya varjanam is the four regular principles. But we know that there are so many others, and the more that we accept the favorable and reject the unfavorable, the more blissful we'll become, peaceful and confident in our ability to progress in devotional service. And our faith in the Lord and in everything having to do with Krishna conscious philosophy will be deepened more and more. And then this, these other elements of surrender they're evidence of our advancement. They're something we should aspire for. Rikshishyatiti Vishvaso. One of the basic principles of living in this material world is to somehow protect ourselves against the onslaught of the threefold miseries and make arrangements for that. Every species of life has this arrangement. But to regard or to rely on the Supreme Lord and his arrangement for our protection, this is a deep act of self-surrender. And it's not something that be taken lightly, but it's a measure of our recognition of our actual situation, reality. Is we're dependent on Krishna for our protection at every moment. I was thinking, because of this COVID thing, I've become more conscious of breathing. There's even a book that I got on breathing. It's so prominent in the pranayama and some of these things, but we generally forget about that. But Krishna is providing. This is Goptritve. Every breath is coming from him. He's giving us everything. We're dependent on all our food, our water, our everything is coming from Krishna. So when we simply recognize that helps us to embrace these elements of surrender. This Rikshasatiti and Goptritve. And then Atma Nikshepa Karpana, of course, these two are essential. And we move toward the full surrender. Atma Nivedanam is, of course, a very advanced platform to be completely surrendered of everything and really feel that Krishna owns everything. These songs of Bhaktivinoda so beautifully express these feelings. Everything I own, my house, my money, my relatives, everything is yours. And I'll do my best to engage them all in your service, because this is the proper attitude of something, when you recognize the proprietorship of someone. So that was of course, Bali showed that to the nth degree by surrendering himself after Vamanadev took everything with 2 steps, the 3rd step went on his head. And so that's the Atma Nivedanam. And then always to remain meek and humble. This is a central quality of Vaishnava demeanor and Vaishnava personality. And you can see how attractive it is. Despite Srila Prabhupada's success in preaching, traveling all over the world, he had thousands of disciples, he always remained meek and humble. And there was a pastime describing, he would greet the deities, and come before the deities, offers obeisances, and he was seen there to be praying fervently. And one devotee once asked him, "What are you praying for, Srila Prabhupada?" And Prabhupada said, "I'm praying that I don't fall into Maya." The devotee was startled. He said, "Prabhupada, you can't fall into Maya. You're a pure devotee." He says, how are we to understand it? "Yes, I can't fall into Maya because I'm always praying that I won't fall into Maya." In other words, he really maintaining, and we see that with all the great acharyas, Krishna's Kaviraj writes, like that, and all of them, that they really felt helpless, and that they were calling out to the Lord from the bottom of their heart at every moment to keep us, stay in devotional service, let me stay with your devotees, and so forth. And this is the hallmark of the greatest devotees, is that in spite of their glories, and they're certainly all glorious, they feel themselves very low and helpless, and therefore they cling very tightly to the lotus feet of Krishna. So we should try to emulate that, not emulate, but follow in their footsteps and really pray. And this is why there's so many beautiful prayers. Just by voicing them, by chanting them or just reading the translation, you can enter into the mood and begin to take that, come to this point of really embracing these principles of surrender. Really, this is the doorway to bhakti, these principles of surrender. So we should be studying them and trying to embrace them and advance in them. Okay, I'll leave it. That's my little presentation on the six elements of surrender. If there's any question or discussion, we could.
Wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. On behalf of all the devotees who joined us, it was a good turnout today. Especially there are so many Zoom classes today, so this was fascinating. And they, on behalf of all the devotees, I would like to sincerely thank you. And devotees are always thirsty to hear from you, Prabhu. And we were limited where you come only during Rath Yatra times, and we used to
Yeah,
have one or two
yeah.
classes. But the silver lining because of this COVID is that today is the seventh class that we have had from you in the last few months. So we're very thankful to you. And today as well as in all the previous classes, we were constantly being purified by the shower of verses, Prabhu. Like, beautiful, wonderful verses that you've been quoting, and you've been reading that out for us. So it's very inspiring. Thank you so much for that, Prabhu. So we've had some questions,
Sure, sure.
and maybe in the last 5 minutes, we also want to extract the poetic nectar from you. So if you can, enlighten us with any of the verses that you think that you can uh, uh, read for us or chant for us.
Yeah, but sure, only 5 minutes? Come on.
More than that. So maybe we can ask you only one question,
No, no,
Prabhu.
no, no. I don't want to, we can have I can give you 5 minutes worth, but then we can have a special session just on shlokas.
Yeah, we should definitely have, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So,
And I can
um,
provide the ones,
yeah, and
because
then
it's an ocean. We have an ocean. The Bhagavatam is full, the CC and many other books have manifested. And anyway, go ahead. Let's go with the questions.
so you have covered it nicely, Prabhu. So the six limbs of surrender. There's one verse. We may have just gone through that and read the purport, probably partially understood that. But in the last 2 weeks, you've taken us into the crux of each of those six elements. So we are very grateful for that.
Sure.
Even this question is partially answered or fully answered, Prabhu. But I just wanted to make sure that we get a nice summary from you. So one is with regard to Lord as one's guardian and master. So it's just the natural feeling and propensity that, even materially, one is spiritual, but materially also devotees do go through a lot of challenges in times of COVID and in times of non-COVID as well. So the question is, do we pray to God? Do we increase our prayers and chanting and devotional service to the Lord when there are physical challenges? One, do we pray to God to say, please take care of this, as though God doesn't know? Or do we increase our total surrender, as we saw in some of these verses? When the challenge is more we surrender. So there are quite a few options, and it's a very practical question where all grahasthas and everybody goes through a lot of challenges. So in the challenging times, when our faith is slightly rattled, how do we focus on?
Yeah, it's a test. These calamities, whether they're mass like this, everybody in the world is feeling this, or on an individual basis, they're kind of a test of our faith, because in most cases, as we know, to be religious means to go to church and go to mosque, go to temple somewhere, and to have something that you're praying for. I mean, Krishna talks about this in the Bhagavad Gita, that there are four types of pious people who come to me: those who are in trouble, those who need some money or some materially valuable thing; those who are curious, and most exalted are those who are truly in knowledge and are looking for real spiritual knowledge. So they're all pious, but as devotees, we should rely on Krishna, that he is going to take care of us, and that what is happening is ultimately for our benefit. Number one, that we can't blame him. This is all part of our karma. This verse in the 14th chapter of this prayer of Lord Brahma in the 14th chapter of the 10th canto was a key understanding. That the real devotees are always seeing everything as Krishna's mercy, even the things that are difficult. That's why, by Ananda Gauranga's recommendation, Brampton devotees contacted me. So in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be giving a Sunday lecture over there. So they wanted to know, I asked them, you want to suggest a topic? And they said, well, we don't know any topics. Please suggest. So I suggested this, and it's interesting, you just mentioned it. The silver lining of the COVID-19 cloud you know, the silver lining. And what is the silver lining is that we should become more serious. We should realize that time is, you know, we don't know how much time we have. And we need to use whatever facilities that we do have, such as the internet, to deepen our understanding of Krishna consciousness, our commitment and our faith, and to take shelter of everything we can that Srila Prabhupada has provided and his servants have provided, to become more serious in our devotional service. And so part of it, you know, a lot of it comes down to these 6 elements of surrender. How many of the favorable things are we going to accept? I've accepted 1, 2, and 3, but I really should accept 4, 5, and 6 also. You know, how many of the unfavorable things am I going to give up? Well, I've given up 1, 2, 3, and 4, but I'm a little hesitant about 5. Okay, I'm going to be serious now and give up 5. In other words, the silver lining is to give us the urgency of Krishna consciousness. And this is throughout the Bhagavatam, we see. King Pariksit, as you know, he was a great devotee and he was doing such wonderful service. And it was even puzzling to some why he would give up everything, give up that kingdom. The kingdom was running so well, because he saw that to manifest the Bhagavatam in human society was a greater service even than running his kingdom. And so he surrendered to that, and although he could have counteracted the curse. So these are very advanced devotees, but we should try to see even reverses as Krishna's giving us a little bit of our taste of karma, and our response should be to take further shelter in him, and that's what these verses can all teach us. Well, that verse about the Chataka bird, right? The Chataka bird is depending on the cloud, but the cloud isn't always giving the nectarian rain. It's giving the thunderbolt. So how is the Chataka going to, he say, well, the heck with this cloud, I'm going down, I'm going to do something. No, he continues, he has faith in the cloud, that the cloud is going to provide the rain. So we have to have faith in Krishna and, become more serious in our devotion, even in difficulty, and rely on him. It doesn't mean that we won't work hard for, our maintenance and doing what we need to do, but we should never get into that mentality as that, well, I've been serving so long, I've been chanting so many rounds, how did this happen? How did this happen? We just had an incredible experience here. There was one of our star devotees who grew up in the community. Her name is Shamali. I don't know if you heard about it. She was born as Gaur Charana, daughter of devotees, both of whom I know very, very, very well. And she, in the last 10 years, she got involved in the Polish tour with Indrajundama. She took initiation. She was in her late 20s when she took initiation, or early 30s. And just a few months ago, she came down with this cancer, inoperable cancer. And so it was a great shock to the community, but she had friends all over the movement. And so recently she passed away, and it was amazing. She had, she was surrounded by her family, and her husband was there. She had no children, but she was teaching them. She was a complete equipoise, absorbed in Krishna Katha, listening to, Indra Swami's wonderful. He called her from Vrindavan, spent hours with her on the phone. And she passed away in complete peace, and hearing the holy name and wonderful example. We just had a memorial for her. Well, it could have been a different way. She could have lamented, and she could have been railing. She could have lost her faith, but she kept her faith, and she took full shelter, and she saw it as a not only a wonderful way to deepen her Krishna consciousness, having these few months, but also to teach. To preach through her example. So this is something an ordinary devotee may find well springs of determination and surrender that we don't have, and we should try to absorb the examples of great devotees we find in the Shastra and also in the Hare Krishna movement, how to deal with reverses and challenges, and we'll find that. If we keep our Krishna consciousness intact and keep praying to Krishna, that will make great advancement in that way.
Wonderful, Prabhu. So thank you so much. And one couple of lines that you had in one of your slides is very inspiring. One is the inner mood must be confirmed by external acts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And this is something that Prabhupada was do to the nth degree, that just get them involved. It works the other way too. Even the inner mode isn't there, but if people are acting in devotion, they're doing devotional things, the inner mood will arise. The purification is taking place. But the uh, our Krishna consciousness will be evinced or shown by actually how we deal with others, how we the level of our serious of our sadhana, what comes out of our mouth, what we listen to. In other words, the example is there. So it all starts with hearing and the purification of consciousness. And then when we confirm that by acting on the basis of even the simple little thing that we may learn, then Krishna becomes pleased. He gives us more inspiration, and we advance in that way. So it's the whole self. It's the external self and the internal self that is helping each other. But so you're right. That's a very important concept. Otherwise, we're just treading water.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So we have only a few more minutes, but definitely we can go a few more minutes over
Sure.
that. But so we would like to hand it over to you, Prabhu, for some nectar verses that we can get inspired by.
Well, okay. Can I fire up my little tambura machine?
Absolutely, Prabhu.
This app that you so wonderfully gave me many years ago. I'm still using it.
That's great.
Every day, actually. So let's see if we can.
Yeah, we can hear that. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
So I'll go back to mute.
Okay. So this is a song. This is one of the first poems I wrote many years ago. I had memorized it. Kushakrata Prabhu had translated the Stavamala back in '78. And I took that with me when I left LA to Atlanta, and I had it. They gave me a tambura, and I started chanting all these things. And so one day, I was coming back from the New York Rath Yatra. I was on a flight all the way to San Diego, and I said, "Well, look, I know this by heart, so let me see if I can put it into a poem." And so I had no paper, so I was using the napkins and the in-flight magazines and everything. I had a pen. And by the time I stepped down, of course, when you get absorbed, the time kind of disappeared, I mean, the flight was the quickest flight I ever had. And I came down and it was practically done in the form that you'll hear it now. So this is called the first Kunja Viharashtaka, 8 verses about Kunja Vihari, Krishna who enjoys pastimes in the groves and gardens of Vrindavan. So here's it. Indranila Manimandalavana Pullani Pukasamanchtakarna Krishna Labada Kushora Sihari Sundaro Jayat Kunja Bihari Jayat Kunja Bihari. Okay. His smooth complexion conquers sapphire stunning to the eye. Kadamba blooms with fragrance full on each ear gently lie. His beauty's great, and by his chest where Gunja necklace stays, all glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Radhika Padana Chandra Chakora Sarva Balla Babatu Tichora Chacharicha to the Tancha the Chari Charato. Jayat Kunja Bihari, Jayat Kunja Bihari. Chakora longing for the moon of Radha's radiant face, a thief purloining patience from the coward's wives of pace. His expert rhythmic dancing winning all the gopis' praise, all glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Sarvatak Patilakal Kapava, Twangsanena Vitabasa Pagava, Koshta Rakshana Katega Didhari Lilaya. Jayat Kunja Bihari, Jayat Kunja Bihari. When Indra's sacrifice he stopped, he stole and Deva's pride, by playfully uplifting giddy Govardhan to hide his friends and cows beneath the hill for 7 nights and days. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Ragamanda Lavabhusha Bongshi, Vibramena on the north of Vishamsi, Tuyamani Chaditakshukashari, Trainabi, Jayati Kunja Bihari. Heartwarming, warbling melodies adorn his flute which sings of Cupid's fest, to him unending happiness it brings. The parrot pair his loving pastimes never tire to praise. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plain. He shot the kumba the jihad the kula, Keka chanda gaviraj the chula, Navayova nala sadva janari ranjano, Jayat kunja bihari, Jayat kunja bihari. His glistening garments steal a splendid glow by gold possessed. A perfect peacock plume bedecks his most exquisite crest. Vrindavan's radiant girls rejoice to see his loving ways. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. And Estasuki Gadandipatira Swana Kanchi Patishobikatira Radiko Natabayoda Davari Kunjaro Jayat Kunja Bihari. The most fragrant sandal paste anoints his limbs so slightly blue. A splendid golden belt adorns his waist. He's likened to an elephant bound by the ropes of Radha's winning ways. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Godadat till the Kojala Bala, Cave the Chantalita Champa Kamal, Advikanda the Grahesh of Bisari Sunbama. Jayati Kunja Bihari. His fulgent forehead glows with gold and tilak he's applied. His playful pastime swing his playful pastime swing his champak garland side to side. He meets the gorgeous gopis for the rendezvous in caves. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. Hey Vimramocha the Vikunchana Nritya, Chipta Gopala Lanakala Kritcha, Prema Matta Vishabhanu Kumari Nagaro, Jayati Kunja Bihari. Their work ignored, the cowards' wives are nearly paralyzed when dancing glances strike them from the corners of his eyes. Ecstatic heroes setting love-mad Radha's heart ablaze. All glories to the Lord who in Vrindavan's forest plays. The pastimes that the Lord enjoys in Brajat's sylvan bowers enhance this octave's beauty and pour forth pure nectar showers. Whoever hears these verses soon acquires saintly traits and serves his luscious lotus feet with love that ne'er abates. And serves his luscious lotus feet with love that ne'er abates. So, were you able to hear it?
Wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you so much. It was fascinating. So Prabhu, what we would like to do is we'd like to have a session with just your nectar verses, if it's okay. So we'll discuss.
Yeah, we can discuss that. Discuss it.
And today being Indra Ekadasi, nothing like being purified by these wonderful shower of great verses that many of us don't even know that it exists. So thank you so much, Prabhu. And
okay.
So we will keep in touch, Prabhu, and also for the devotees who joined us from Mauritius as well. We are very grateful for joining us every Sunday, and especially for all of Dravid Prabhu's classes. So we're grateful to you. And just a quick note, today is the concluding part of the 3-part series, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya by His Grace, Sureshwar Prabhu. Last weekend we had 2 sessions, and devotees from Trinidad, USA, and various parts of Canada joined. You can join us through Zoom as well. It's a different link than this ISKCON Scarborough's link. So it's through ISKCON Toronto. You can join us, and it's starting at 1 p.m. So in about 55 minutes, it's starting up. So again, on behalf of all the devotees, I would like to thank His Grace Dravida Prabhu again sincerely from the bottom of our hearts. And we are hoping to have more classes from you, Prabhu, in the next few weeks. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Prabhupada ki Jai. Hari Hari Bol. Jai.
For this.